Hey guys, Ron here with Gung Ho Golf. Today we are with Charlie here in the studio. He'll be our test player. We're going to put the new Garmin R10 Approach launch monitor through the paces up against the Foresight GCQuad. We got them both set up, calibrated, aligned. The Garmin R10 is a brand new launch monitor on the market. Probably heard of it. Retails for only $5.99. We're selling them now at gunghogolf.com. We're also a Foresight dealer, TrackMan, Unicore, everything. But we wanted to show you what this little guy can do indoors. We do have another video out there of the R10 outdoors with the TrackMan, but today we wanted to see how it does with the quad. So we're going to walk through a 60-degree lob wedge, do some, let's start with some little chips with it, and then some full shots. Then we're going to move to the pitching wedge, then 7-iron, then driver. And this is going to be uncut, unedited. Sorry for the length, but I want to go through this with you. Over here, I'm going to be moving to the iPad to show you the Garmin data. I may have to scroll a little to show you everything. The app, the Garmin Golf app, unfortunately is not optimized for iPads yet. That's why it doesn't fill the screen here. It also will not rotate to horizontal. So I will have to scroll to show you all the data. It does have lots of other screens you can look at, but we're looking at the one with most of the data on it. And we're going to be coming up here and comparing the data that comes straight out of the quad. So we're hitting with clubs that are marked up with the club data stickers on the face for the quad. And we're using a TaylorMade TP5X ball today. So let's do some little, start with some little just 5 or 6 yard chips, Charlie,
okay,
with that lob wedge, and we'll see how the Garmin does with those. This guy had a carry of 12 from the Garmin, a carry of 12 with the quad. It's a good read. Total spin, 3862. Garmin, total spin, 3362. Pretty close. And I like to look at the total deviation. This is yards left or right that the ball ended up. Garmin had it at 0, quad had it at 0. So that was a really nice little read there. 0 spin axis from the quad, spin axis 0 also on the Garmin. So that was a good 12 yard. Try something about half that far, Charlie. You're just off the green and chip it 5 or 6 yards. That was another 12 yard carry. Good job, Charlie. 10 yards with the quad. Total deviation 0 with the Garmin, 0.4 right, pretty close. Total spin 2690 from the quad. Total spin 3862. A bit of an overread on the spin, but overall a pretty respectable read from the Garmin. Let's do a really soft one this time. Okay, you're getting there. Carry of 8 yards. Ah, exactly 8 yards here. Total spin 2424 with the quad. Total spin 3654. So another little overread on the spin. That won't make too much difference in simulated golf. Total deviation 1 yard right, 0.7 right. So pretty good read there. Nailing the carry distance. Let's go even shorter. 4, 5, 6 yards, something like that. That was a good one. All right, Garmin said 8 yards again, but I can guarantee it wasn't 8 yards. Quad says 4 yards, that's more like it. Total spin, 1968. Total spin from the Garmin, 3654. So another misread on the spin rate there. Deviation 1 yard right, deviation 0.3 right, pretty close. Let's do some more shorties like that. Land that ball just at the screen and see how the Garmin reads distance-wise. It was just short. It's probably a 3 yard carry. Oh, Actually, you know, I made a mistake on that last one. The Garmin did not read that last one because the screen didn't update and it didn't update again. So it's stuck on the second to last shot of 8 yards carry. So basically the Garmin is missing those short ones. We've seen some no reads indoors, and sometimes it comes from too much club waggling. So Charlie, this time try to hold the wedge really still behind the ball before you go and glance back at it to make sure you see these green flashing light. Means it's ready to go. Let's see if that makes a difference on the shorties. That was another no read by the Garmin. That was a 4-yard carry chip, and the Garmin did not read it again. Let's try a couple more of that distance just to make sure this is a constant finding. There's another 3 or 4 yard carry. Garmin missed it again. So the little guy struggles with these very short chips. That was another no read. That was a 4-yard carry. So let's go back up to our 10 to 14 yard carries, Charlie. See if that makes a difference. Garmin got that one. 11-yard carry. 11-yard carry, good job. Total spin, 38.04 for the Garmin, 31.08. That was a good spin read. Offline, ended up 0 degrees and 0.3 right. So good read there with an 11-yard carry chip. See if you can hit around 8 or 9 yards, so somewhere in between those last two. That'll be a little long. Actually, the Garmin missed that one, I believe. I don't remember. Was the last one 11 yards, guys?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was a no read with a 9-yard carry chip from the quad. Try something like that again. That was another miss by the Garmin, no read. That was an 8-yard chip. So we have a definite weakness here in short chipping. This could really frustrate you with sim golf. You know, there's gonna be lots of times you're gonna need to chip it 3, 4, 5, 8 yards of carry, and it could be frustrating if you're dealing with these short chips around a green where you really can't putt it. So let's go to full shots, Charlie. He'll probably hit these around 80 yards, 80 to 85 with the 60. Garmin had it 78 yards in the air. Foresight had it 81, pretty close. Total spin, 10,091. Total spin, 10,485. It's pretty good. Let's look at the attack angle for fun. Down 5.9, down 6.5. It's pretty close. Might as well check the club path. 9.1 left from the Garmin. That's a huge over-the-top path from the Garmin, just so you know. 9 degrees is big time over the top. The quad, on the other hand, had 0.6 into out, which I can tell you is more like Charlie's normal path. So that was a big miss on the club data here. So let's look at spin axis. 4.7 right, spin axis 1.3 right. So I would have expected a bigger spin axis to the right with that sort of a club path if it is using the path to let it calculate perhaps or augment the read on the spin axis. Yeah, with a path 9.1 to the left and a face open 0.7 to the right, they had face to path 9.8 right. That should have had a humongous spin axis, and it did not. So I'm not quite sure what it's doing there, but at least the carry was close. 0 degree deviation of where that shot ended up, right on target line, offline 1.1 to the left. So the end result was pretty close, but the data that got it there had some discrepancies in the path and the spin axis. Little pull. 79 carry from the Garmin, 82 carry, pretty close. Total spin, Garmin 10,585, 10,629. That was a good spin read. Spin axis 3.0 to the right. Spin axis 2.4 to the right. So that was a good spin axis read. Let's just look at the club path. 8.4 to the left again. So I wouldn't want to trust this club path data so far, because this is showing a big over the top path where his actual club path was 0.7 out to in. Everything else, let's see, deviation, it ended up 4 yards left with the Garmin. Deviation here ended up 3 yards left. So it's interesting how it can miss the club data that much, but still end up with a good ball flight read and end result. Little fade spin there.
A little bit.
Garmin had 82 carry. 80 carry with the quad. The carry is very, very accurate across the bag on these full shots from what we've seen. Total spin, 76, 74. That is going to be a very low spin read. The actual total spin was 10,910 versus 76, 74. Big miss there by the Garmin. Spin axis 4.2 right by the Garmin. The actual spin axis 1.9 right. So it overestimated the right spin. Again, club path 5.9 degrees left over the top, while it was actually 0.6 out to in, so barely over the top from the quad. Do a couple more here with the 60, then move on to the pitching wedge. Carry from the Garmin, 84, carry 85, very, very close again. Total spin, 88.93 versus 10,500, a big under read on the total spin by the Garmin. Spin axis, 1.4 right on the Garmin, spin axis, negative 2.7. That's left spin axis, draw spin from the quad. So that was a good size miss. Should have resulted in an offline miss. 3 yards left with the Garmin. Again, 3.3 yards left. So the end result ended up pretty close, even though it had a miss on the spin axis. Let's check the launch direction. 2 degrees to the left, and the push-pull 1.2 to the left. So pretty close on the start direction there. Again, good end results. Some of the data to get us there, a little bit questionable. It's a good strike. Carry from the Garmin, 85. Carry from the quad, 87, pretty close. Spin rate, 10,236. 11,007 actual from the quad. Not quite as bad as an underread there. Spin axis 4 degrees right, spin axis 1.3 degrees right. Bit of a discrepancy there. Total deviation 3.3 yards right from the Garmin, 2.4 yards right. So end result again, very close. Just spot check the club path. That was a little draw pattern, 2.5 into out from the quad, 5.9 over the top with the Garmin. So again, missing that club path significantly there. I think we can move on.
Pitching wedge?
Pitching wedge. I'll change your green setup here. Come up here and change this out to 130.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and I will change the club in the Garmin to pitching wedge. Alrighty. I'm going to leave the camera set on the Garmin to show you just how fast it reads these shots. It's darn fast. Shots away, and boom, it's red. So it's about a half to 3/4 of a second before the numbers come up, and you may hear it reading out the carry. You can have it verbally read out whatever stat you want to hear. So carry 136 with the Garmin, 133 with the quad, very close. Spin rate 74.30 with the Garmin, 87.99 with the quad. So again, under read the spin there. Spin axis 5.2 right. It's going to be a fade spin. This is a big miss on the spin axis. Quad had a negative 5.5 spin axis. That was a baby draw on the quad and a baby fade on the Garmin. Let's just look at the launch direction. 2.8 left, push-pull 2.7 left. That's what we normally see is the launch direction. The horizontal launch angle is very, very close, outdoors and indoors. But missing that spin axis is going to cause you to miss some shots if you're playing sim golf, and also to maybe make you think you're hitting draws when you're hitting fades or vice versa. So the end result there, 1 yard left from the Garmin, while that was actually 13.5 yards left due to that draw spin. So that would have been a 11.5 yard difference in left to right result from the Garmin. Another little draw looks like. Carry from the Garmin 133, carry from the quad 131, very close again. Total spin 77.08, actual 86.34 from the quad, bit of an underread. Let's look at the spin axis. 5 degrees right, thought that was a baby fade. Garmin had it as a very baby draw, minus 1.6. So let's look at the club path. That was actually a neutral club path from the quad, 0, and over the top 8.3 degrees. So we've seen a consistent error from club path of being over the top versus what the quad is saying, which we trust based on testing it against the Unicore and the TrackMan indoors. So end result, I guess I forgot the end result there. End result, right on the target line, 0 deviation, where the quad had it 7.3 yards to the left. Hit some fades for us there, Charlie. It's a nice little pull cut. Carry from the Garmin 127, carry from the quad 127. Perfect match. Total spin 83.56, total spin 87.70. That's a pretty good spin read. Spin axis 6.5 right, that's good. Spin axis here just a little, 1.4 right, so that was a exaggeration of the right side spin by the Garmin. Let's see what the deviation, 2 yards left from the Garmin. Quad had it 5.8 yards left. And if we just spot check the push-pull, started 3.3 degrees left versus started, 3.6 left. So very close on the launch direction, nailed the carry distance. Nice strike. 127 carry from the Garmin, 126 from the quad, very close. Total spin Garmin 81.44, total spin quad 85.90, close, slight under read by the Garmin. Spin axis 6.6 right, Spin axis on the quad, negative 1.9 left. So baby draw on the quad, a little more than a baby draw, or sorry, baby fade on the Garmin. So that was a pretty big miss on the spin axis. Total deviation, the Garmin had it ending 9 yards right, and the quad had it 1 yard left. So 30 feet, 10 yards of difference of where it ended up left to right. Let's just spot check the angle of attack. Down 5.7, down 6.2. So pretty close on angle of attack. A couple more here with the pitching wedge, then we'll move on to the 7-iron. Started left, probably a little draw.
Yeah.
Garmin has a carry of 135, so does the quad, 135. Total spin, 7851. Total spin, 8019, very close. Spin axis, 5.4 right, it's fade spin. Spin axis here with the quad, negative 6.1. This is a big miss on the spin axis, negative 6.1 to 5.4 right. This is going to end up with a very different left to right angle. Let's just check the launch direction. 3 degrees left, push pull 2.9. So within 0.1, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but very often the horizontal launch angle is within 0.1, 0.2 degrees. So if we look at the total deviation, the Garmin had 1 yard left, while the quad had 14.9 yards left. So that's a difference of 14 yards, 42 feet left of target, or left of where the Garmin said that it ended up. One more with the pitching wedge. Little thin?
Yeah.
127 carry with the Garmin. 120 carry with the quad. That's one of the bigger carry misses that we've seen. A little bit surprising there. Total spin, 4880, Garmin. Total spin here, 6590, so that was an underread on the spin rate. Spin axis, 8.6 left from the Garmin. Spin axis, 7.2 right. Big discrepancy there between the two. Opposite spin axis. Let's see where the balls ended up. 12 yards left from the Garmin and 6.1 yards right with the quad. So that's pretty big. That is 18 yards of difference. So 54 feet further right the quad had that ball landing versus the Garmin. All right, let's move on to the 7-iron. What distance would you like here?
To 180, please.
Set the green at 180. Switch this to an iron. And we will switch the Garmin to 7-iron. Okay. That was a pull. Probably had some draw on top of it. 188 carry from the Garmin. 182 carry from the quad. Little overestimation on the carry from the Garmin there. Total spin 43.42. Total spin 46.34. Very close. Spin axis 4.9 right. Spin axis on the quad negative 10.5 left. So that's another big miss on the spin axis. That's going to lead to a big discrepancy of where this ball ended up. Just spot check the launch direction, 3.7 left. Push pull 3.9 left. So within 0.2 of the start direction, but missed the spin axis. Ended up 6 yards left of the target on the Garmin. Ended up 32 yards left on the quad. That was a big pull hook on the quad. You can see the ball flight there. So that was a big discrepancy on where that ball ended up. It started right. Looks like it drew back a touch, perhaps. Nice strike. 179 carry from the Garmin. 180 carry on the quad. Very, very close. That was a good carry read. Total spin 5450 from the Garmin. Total spin 5089. Pretty close. Spin axis, another big miss. We got a 9-degree right axis. That's a more than a baby fade from the Garmin. Spin axis 0.8 right, so 8.2 degree spin axis miss. Let's just spot check the angle of attack. Down 7.3, down 4.6. So a little miss on the degree of negative angle of attack. Let's see where the ball ended up, right and left. 16 yards right with the Garmin, only 2.7 yards right with the quad. So that would have been a big miss due to the spin axis read there by the Garmin. Started left, looks like a fade, little pull cut. 178 carry by the Garmin. 178 carry by the quad. Perfect carry read. Total spin 5863. Total spin 5390. Pretty close. Little more spin from the Garmin. Spin axis 10.9 right. Spin axis 8.4 right. So that was a very close spin axis read. So I would expect this to be close on the deviation. 9 yards right from the Garmin, 4.3 yards right. So 5.7 yards further right with the Garmin. Let's just spot check the angle of attack. Looks like it missed it. Let's spot check the path. Haven't been doing that with this club. 11.9 over the top. 6.1 over the top with the out to in with the quad. So again, an overestimation of the path. We'll take a closer look at the path on the next couple. Do a couple more here. Started pretty straight. Garmin says carry of 180. Carry of 180. Perfect carry read. Spin rate 4237. Total spin 5034. A little underestimation there on the spin. Spin axis 11.4 right from the Garmin. Negative 0.7. So big miss on the spin axis here. So you know where this is going. Let's look at the club path. 8.3 left, so 8.3 out to in. Club path 1.2 out to in from the quad. So let's see, the ball ended up with the Garmin 13 yards right of center, whereas the quad said 7.7 yards left. So that's a difference of almost 21 yards, 60 feet of difference on the left to right end point. Let's do one more 7-iron, Charlie. That was a nice strike, a little push. 173 carry from the Garmin. 176 carry, very close again. Total spin, 6298 from the Garmin, 5340. So a bit of an overread on the spin. Spin axis 9.8 right from the Garmin. Spin axis 4.9 right. So at least it had the direction correct, just not the magnitude. Angle of attack 5.3 down with the quad. Angle of attack 9.4 down. So an overestimation of the angle of attack. Club path 8.2 out to in. 2.1 out to in with the quad. So consistent in that overestimation of over the top club path. End result deviation 19 yards right with the Garmin, 9.2 yards right with quad. So a difference of 10 yards, 30 feet left to right. Alrighty, ready for driver. I'll switch your clubs, give you a different target out there. Give you a 300 to shoot for. Change your club to driver. And we'll change the Garmin to driver. Alrighty. This is where radar units typically struggle indoors, so this will be interesting data. Started right. Does not look like it's going to come back. So it's probably a push fade. Got a carry of 255 from the Garmin, carry 280 from the quad. Quite a difference there in carry. Let's see what accounted for it. It's usually spin. 3296 spin from the Garmin, 2024 spin from the quad. So that was a big miss on the spin. Probably wouldn't want to do driver shaft testing with the Garmin if we don't get better spin rates than that. We got a spin axis of 0, so 14.1 right spin axis from the quad. So that was a big push fade. It started 3.1 degrees right according to the quad, 2 degrees right according to the Garmin. Let's see where it ended up. 10 yards right with the Garmin. That actually ended up with the quad almost 52 yards right. So that was a 42 yard difference in right to left result between the two units. Just so you know, we have 11 feet of ball flight here in our testing studio. That's going to be a slight pull with a lot of draw spin. Garmin has 286 carry. Quad has 303 carry. So little underestimation there from the Garmin. Total spin 2824 from the Garmin. Total spin 1504 from the quad. So big difference there. That accounts for the carry difference. Spin axis 16.4 right. That is a significant fade spin from the Garmin. The quad had it negative 18.1 degrees. Big time pull hook there. You can see the ball flight here on the quad screen. So this is going to be a huge difference in where this ball ended up. Garmin had it 29 yards right of center, while the quad had it 44.9 yards left. That's a difference of about 76.9 yards, if I'm doing the math right. So big miss. Let's just look at ball speed and club speed. 167 ball speed, 167 ball speed, perfect match. And this is pretty consistent. That's why I haven't been reading these off. Club speed 119, club speed 117 with the quad. So those are usually very close indoors and out. So I thought I'd show them to you, but we haven't been calling them out each time because there's rarely a difference in ball speed and club speed. That was a pull that may try to come back a little. Garmin has 295 carry. Quad has 305 carry. I am guessing there is a spin discrepancy again. 2574 spin from the Garmin, 1859 spin from the quad. That would account for the carry difference. Spin axis 3.8 left from the Garmin, spin axis 0.2 right. So not a huge miss on the axis there, but a little bit of one. Let's look at the club path, 2.7 left from the Garmin. Club path 3.7 out to in, so that was pretty close. Let's look at angle of attack, 1.1 up from the quad. Angle of attack negative 5.8. So I'm pretty sure Charlie doesn't hit 6 degrees down on his driver, but we'll keep an eye on that on these next few shots. As you guys probably know, angle of attack is a very common thing to work on with your driver if you want to get max distance. That sounded a little high on the face.
Yeah.
It was bomb though. Probably took off some spin. Garmin had it 253 carry. Quad had 284 carry. Let's look at the spin. Probably a discrepancy again. Spin rate 3422. Garmin 1875 quad. Big difference. That accounted for the carry difference. Let's just look at the angle of attack. Missed the angle of attack. That was 3.1 up, which is about where Charlie usually is. Spin axis 17.9 right. Spin axis 2.5 right. So big miss on the axis. Garmin thought that shot ended up 41 yards right of center, whereas the quad had it 4.7 yards right. So around 36 yards difference left to right. Was a big pull. Had to have some cut, huh?
Oh yeah.
Big pull cut. Ooh, Garmin liked the distance. 304 carry, 308 carry. Very close on the carry read this time, so I would expect the spin to be similar. It's the first one that the Garmin read fairly low spin on, 2317, 2114 on the quad, so very close on the total spin. Spin axis, 2.7 left. Spin axis from the quad, 4 degrees right. So that was a miss on the spin axis again. Let's check the angle of attack, down 2.0. That is not correct. The quad actually missed the angle of attack on that one. That's rare, but it missed it. But I know it wasn't 2 degrees down. So the end result, 31 yards left, total deviation. 15.6 yards left, so a difference of about 15.4 yards further left from the Garmin compared to the quad. Ooh, nice strike there, Charlie. Slight pull cut. That was bombed. Garmin didn't think it was bombed. Carry distance only 271. We had 20 yards more from the quad, 291. Total spin 3083 from the Garmin. Total spin 2024 from the quad. It's interesting to see that number again. If anybody has a SkyTrack, you see that number quite a bit because that's the lowest spin rate it will read. But I haven't seen that from the quad before. Attack angle, the Garmin actually had that one 4 degrees up. Quad had it 1 degree up. Let's check the club path. 9 degrees out to in. I guarantee you he didn't have 9 degrees out to in. It was 2 degrees out to in. Spin axis, quad 12.3 degrees right. Spin axis 20.8 degrees right. Big discrepancy there. So the Garmin ended up 43 yards right. The quad only 23 yards right. That was a smash, pull, fade. Garmin liked it carry. 302 carry from the Garmin. 290 carry from the quad. This is the first one that the Garmin has had a longer carry on. Let's see why. Spin rate 2517 from the Garmin. Spin rate 2959. So he actually got the spin up on that one. That's why the quad didn't give him much distance. Spin axis 17.3 right with the Garmin. Spin axis 18.4 right with the quad. Very close. So this deviation should actually end up pretty close. 35 right and 39.7 right. So the end result was pretty close. It was just a overread on the carry. Let's check the launch angle. 11.9 degrees. Launch angle over here 11.8. Very close. We'll call that out the next couple to see if we see any discrepancies there. But that was an interesting one. The first one that the Garmin gave you more distance on.
Weird.
Big pull. Garmin has 278 carry. Quad has 298 carry, difference of 20 yards. So we would expect a spin discrepancy. 27.27 total spin with the Garmin, only 16.15 total spin with the Quad. Spin axis 12.7 right with the Garmin, spin axis negative 3.9 left. So that was draw spin with the Quad. That's why you got 20 yards more carry. Let's take a look at launch angle 11.4, launch angle 13.3, angle of attack 1 degree up with the Quad, angle of attack 3 degrees up. Let's see the end result. Garmin had it 4 degrees right of the target line. Quad had it 35.5 yards left of the target line. So big difference in the left to right endpoint. Again, let's do 2 more, Charlie. That was a big pull cut. Good to see some of those. Let's see how the 2 units did. 290 carry from the Garmin, only 266 carry from the Quad. Total spin 2605 Garmin, total spin 3465. He had a lot of spin on that shot. Probably caught it on the heel. Is that right?
Correct.
Caught it on the heel. Spin axis 16.4 right from the Garmin, 20.8 right. That's pretty close. Let's look at the angle of attack 1.3 up from the Quad. Angle of attack 5.6 up from the Garmin. End result 23 yards right of the center line versus 38.3 yards right. So 15 yards difference in that big cut. That was solid. Think that's your longest?
Hope so.
Well, Garmin liked it. 305 carry, 307 carry with the Quad. Very close. Club speed 118 on the Quad, club speed 117 on the Garmin. Very close reads on the ball and club speeds. Total spin 2371, the Garmin. Total spin 2599. Very close there. Spin axis 20.9 degrees right with the Quad, with the Garmin. Spin axis 6.2 right. So I would expect a big discrepancy on where this ball ended up. 42 yards right from the Garmin, only 4.1 yards right. So 38 yard difference in where that ball ended up on that smashed pole cut. So anyway, we will stop there. I hope you enjoyed the little test, saw some of the strengths and weaknesses. Just off the top of my head, the strengths here from the Garmin R10 are carry distance, ball speed, club speed, launch angle, especially horizontal launch angle, very good. Where it struggles indoors is with spin axis. Doesn't always get the direction of the spin axis right, and it's sometimes off by an order of magnitude on the amount of spin axis. Club path really can't be trusted in the current state, so I wouldn't recommend this if you're looking for accurate club data. The angle of attack also was a little flaky. But if you're looking for something to give accurate carry numbers or accurate club speed numbers, I think it's a lot of bang for the buck at $600. And hopefully the engineers over at Garmin, I know they're excellent. They hopefully can do some work on the spin axis, indoors and out, and the club path, and maybe make this just an incredible unit for the money. So thanks for tuning in. Until next time, this is Ron at Gung Ho Golf. Visit our website at gunghogolf.com. And as I am recording this, we do have some Garmin R10s in stock if you want to give one a spin. Thanks for watching.